Anyway, all right, let's get to Russian missile strikes killing civilians in Ukrainian cities.
Strikes on Ukraine. Our correspondent in Kyiv, James Waterhouse, sent this update.
This is how close the missile got to hitting this block of flats. The crater is about 5 meters deep, and just look at the devastation caused. You can see the windows completely, not blown through, blasted through. You can see drying laundry, or what was once drying laundry, inside. Smoke is billowing higher up, and even the block on the other side has been blown through, and the buildings across the road from there, such as the force generated from blasts like this. In case it wasn't obvious, this is from a missile, but Russia uses drones as well. And to be honest with you, we haven't seen attacks like this since the early days and weeks of the invasion. Last night there was a 6.
Here's another thing that I was right on, by the way. This is another hate to say I told you so moment, but I told you. I mean, much like many others also said that Russia was going to obviously increase and escalate its attacks in the winter. It's like it was going to happen, and now it's happening. Holding, continue holding. Sorry, let's get back to Russia. Okay.
Our missile and drone attack where
I had to do something for Doo-Doo Daphne.
Defenses could be heard all night, and then there were again explosions this morning. Vladimir Putin said he wanted to respond to a Ukrainian drone attack across the border into Russia this week, despite it being in response to Russia's biggest ever aerial bombardment of Ukraine. The timing is also significant as well, because there were fears Russia had been stockpiling missiles like these to use around the New Year period. And with no more military aid set to arrive from the US for now, attacks like this test air defense systems which rely on continued Western help to be replenished in the long term. So it's incredibly uncertain. It's an incredibly critical time for Ukraine.
James Waterhouse there in Kyiv.
This just into the newsroom, a Fox News alert. The Harvard Crimson, a student-run news.
The one thing I'm going to say, remarkably different coverage when it comes to who's the clear bad guy and who's the clear good guy on Russia-Ukraine. On Israel-Palestine, no such distinction is seen. Okay? Just so odd. So strange. So strange that it's like, oh, well, both sides are kind of doing stuff. I don't know, whatever. Quite interesting how that works. There's a clear bad actor. Okay? A clear side doing evil in both of these conflicts. In Russia, Ukraine, the irredentive actions of the Russian state are far worse than anything Ukraine ever could have done. On Israel, Palestine, Israel's ethnic cleansing campaign in the Gaza Strip is the clear evil act. But for some reason, the media cannot turn around and see the distinction. These are paid talking points, waiting for instructions from the CIA. Who's killed more civilians, Russia or Israel? What? Why was Ukraine resorted to terrorism themselves, bombing Belgorod? There are no more military targets. Do two wrongs, make a right. I love you, man. Hutch Poker, you are my goat. I love Americans who push Z. I really do. I'm sorry. It's awesome. It is. Here's why it's awesome. Because most people that are like pro-Russia in America are oftentimes like the very weird reactionary people, right? And what I personally love about this is that dudes who are pro-Russia, who are saying like, no, Russia's actions are actually perfectly valid, like you're crazy. They overcame the anti-Russian talking points, like the anti-communist talking points. Okay? And then they got duped by a Telegram group. Lots of leftist Twitter rides Putin's meat. No, man. No. No. You look at... First of all, you look at Twitter. That's number one. And it doesn't matter. There are plenty of people who call themselves leftists or progressive. That doesn't mean that they're actually real. Okay? It can also mean that they are just regressive or reactionary on one particular subject matter. There's plenty of that as well. Okay? But the reality of the matter is, like, Jackson Hinkle, Dems love the label to dismiss them instead of addressing their point. You think it's a paid talking point for me to say that Israel's doing ethnic cleansing and Russia's actions in its invasion are absolutely, one, a strategic flub in general. NATO is now seen and perceived as stronger and more influential than ever before, and also just an overall major mistake in general. You also called me a Democrat, ironically trying to label me to say that I want to label people to dismiss them instead of addressing their point. Sometimes the reason why I consider, like, sometimes the reason why I just jump over the things that you're saying is for your own sake, because I think it's really silly. This guy's perspective, this guy's profile picture is Alex Jones, and he's previously said you aren't very different than Alex Jones, so why isn't he a fan of you? I'm showing you how silly it is to try and label people. Brother, you're not doing a very good job. Especially because you originally started off with vaccine science proving that vaccines are bad. You haven't really shown anything. You literally said I'm, CIA backed, and I'm waiting for instructions from the CIA. Okay, why has Ukraine resorted to terrorism themselves? Bombing Belgorod, where there are no military targets. Do two wrongs make a right is so funny, because it's literally the same principle beyond, like, going, well, I can't believe Hamas is retaliating. It's like, yeah, dude. People that are defending themselves against an invasion will engage in acts of violence that could be considered acts of terror. October 7th being a great example of this. Ultimately, you have to look at the larger picture. Okay? That's it. That's simple. I've talked about the proxy war component to this war. John Favreau, by all means, let's send this government more money and more weapons without delay. What on earth are we doing here? Israel's national security minister hits back at Biden. We are not another star on the American flag. The immigration of hundreds of thousands from Gaza will allow Israeli residents for the border area to return home and live in security and protect IDF soldiers. Wait, they are, though. What do you mean? You can't have it both ways, dog. Anyway. I'm not pro-Russia, live in a neighboring country, and I do not support Russia in any way. I also do not support the Hamas attack and the stuff they did to civilians. But you can make parallels with the Ukrainian attacks on civilians inside Russia, but the world, for some reason, feels this attack is okay. Yeah, I think that I have shown that I have a consistent framework that I operate off of on Ukraine, many different instances, and yet there's an entire marketplace of, like, people saying I'm actually pro-Russia secretly, that clip the first statement that I will use and then not show the rest of the quote. Like, one thing that circulated quite a bit was when Ukraine hit the bridge in Crimea, right? And I said that was an act of terror. And everybody clipped that part and not the follow through, which was that Russia targeting civilian infrastructure is an act of terror. So is Ukraine. However, the major reason as to why this bridge was blown up is a consequence of the Russian invasion. So it's still on them. This in and of itself was the overarching quote. It's almost identical to the subject matter, or identical to my coverage on Israel-Palestine. Except if you clip it in the first half, you go, oh, dude, this guy, he loves Russia. He loves Russia. Dude, look at that. He loves Russia. Please don't look at anything else that he said. And that's why there are so many people who still, to this day, come in here and go, so what's up with like your Russia-Ukraine takes? Like, why are you so pro-Russia? Why are you so anti-Ukraine? Anyway. Attacking civilians and civilian infrastructure is wrong. Doesn't matter who's doing it. There's obviously going to be other additional reasons. Okay? There's obviously going to be additional reasons as to why or how certain attacks on civilians are occurring. And you have to analyze it within the framework of like who is engaging in the more morally permissible framework. What? Can someone ask Hasan if he got my special Christmas package yet? Wait. What was it? Oh, no. Just give me a clue as to what it was, because I think I threw it out. What was it? Bad Empanada made a good video about you being takes on the Russian war. Wait, what? Bad Empanada made a good video about me being what on the Russian war? Where's Lolo? I can't find Lolo. He's not VIP'd. Because I don't want to lose him. That's why. Because everyone I VIP goes away in the end. So I'm not VIPing Lolo overruled, you know? Oh, I threw it out. Oh my God. I thought. I'll tell you later. God damn it. I can't tell you. I'll tell you after. Or I'll text you why.